Please subscribe, like and share this video. Thank you for your support.
2 U.S. Code Chapter 29, Capitol Police. 2 U.S. Code Subchapter 1, Organization and Administration. 2 U.S. Part B, Compensation and Other Personnel Matters. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1921, Repealed. Pub L. 108-7, DIVH, Title 1, Paragraph 1018, H. 2, February 20th, 2003, 117 Stat 369. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1921A, Sole and exclusive authority of Board and Chief to determine rates of pay. A. In general, the Capitol Police Board and the Chief of the Capitol Police shall have the sole and exclusive authority to determine the rates and amounts for each of the following for members of the Capitol Police. 1. The rate of basic pay, including the rate of basic pay upon appointment, premium pay, specialty assignment and proficiency pay, and merit pay. 2. The rate of cost of living adjustments, comparability adjustments, and locality adjustments. 3. The amount for recruitment and relocation bonuses. 4. The amount for retention allowances. 5. The amount for educational assistance payments. B. No review or appeal permitted. The determination of a rate or amount described in subsection A may not be subject to review or appeal in any manner. C. Rule of construction. Nothing in this section may be construed to affect 1. Any authority provided under law for a committee of the House of Representatives or Senate, or any other entity of the legislative branch, to review or approve any determination of a rate or amount described in subsection A. 2. Any rate or amount described in subsection A, which is established under law, or 3. The terms of any collective bargaining agreement. D. Effective date. This section shall apply with respect to fiscal year 2005 and each succeeding fiscal year. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1922, Unified Payroll Administration. Payroll administration for the Capitol Police and civilian support personnel of the Capitol Police shall be carried out on a unified basis by a single disbursing authority. The Capitol Police Board, with the approval of the Committee on House Oversight of the House of Representatives and the Committee on Rules and Administration of the Senate, acting jointly, shall, by contract or otherwise, provide for such unified payroll administration. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1923, Unified Schedules of Rates of Basic Pay and Leave System. A. Rates of Basic Pay. 1. The Capitol Police Board shall establish and maintain unified schedules of rates of basic pay for members and civilian employees of the Capitol Police, which shall apply to both members and employees whose appointing authority is an officer of the Senate and members and employees whose appointing authority is an officer of the House of Representatives. 2. The Capitol Police Board may, from time to time, adjust any schedule established under paragraph 1, to the extent that the board determines appropriate to reflect changes in the cost of living and to maintain pay comparability. 3. A schedule established or revised under paragraph 1 or 2 shall take effect only upon approval by the Committee on House Oversight of the House of Representatives and the Committee on Rules and Administration of the Senate. 4. A schedule approved under paragraph 3 shall have the force and effect of law. B. Leave system. 1. The Capitol Police Board shall prescribe, by regulation, a unified leave system for members and civilian employees of the Capitol Police, which shall apply to both members and employees whose appointing authority is an officer of the Senate and members and employees whose appointing authority is an officer of the House of Representatives. The leave system shall include provisions for A. Annual leave, based on years of service. B. Sick leave. C. Administrative leave. D. Leave under the Family and Medical Leave Act of 1993, 29 U.S.C. 2601 etc. E. Leave without pay and leave with reduced pay, including provisions relating to contributions for benefits for any period of such leave. F. Approval of all leave by the Chief, or the designee of the Chief. G. The order in which categories of leave shall be used. H. Use, accrual, and carryover rules and limitations, including rules and limitations for any period of active duty in the armed forces. I. Advance of annual leave or sick leave after a member or civilian employee has used all such accrued leave. J. Buyback of annual leave or sick leave used during an extended recovery period in the case of an injury in the performance of duty. K. The use of accrued leave before termination of the employment as a member or civilian employee of the Capitol Police, with provision for lump sum payment for unused annual leave, and L. A leave sharing program. 2. The leave system under this section may not provide for the accrual of either annual or sick leave for any period of leave without pay or leave with reduced pay. 3. All provisions of the leave system established under this subsection shall be subject to the approval of the Committee on House Oversight of the House of Representatives and the Committee on Rules and Administration of the Senate. All regulations approved under this subsection shall have the force and effect of law. C. Lump sum payments. 1. Upon the approval of the Capitol Police Board, a member or civilian employee of the Capitol Police who is separated from service may be paid a lump sum payment for the accrued annual leave of the member or civilian employee. 2. The lump sum payment under paragraph 1 A shall equal the pay the member or civilian employee would have received had such member or employee remained in the service until the expiration of the period of annual leave. B. Shall be paid from amounts appropriated to the Capitol Police. C. Shall be based on the rate of basic pay in effect with respect to the member or civilian employee on the last day of service of the member or civilian employee. D. Shall not be calculated on the basis of extending the period of leave described under subparagraph A by any holiday occurring after the date of separation from service. E. Shall be considered pay for taxation purposes only. And F. Shall be paid only after the chairman of the Capitol Police Board certifies the applicable period of leave to the Secretary of the Senate or the Chief Administrative Officer of the House of Representatives, as appropriate. 3. A member or civilian employee of the Capitol Police who enters active duty in the armed forces may A. Receive a lump sum payment for accrued annual leave in accordance with this subsection, in addition to any pay or allowance payable from the armed forces, or B. Elect to have the leave remain to the credit of such member or civilian employee until such member or civilian employee returns from active duty. 4. The Capitol Police Board may prescribe regulations to carry out this subsection. No lump sum payment may be paid under this subsection until such regulations are approved by the Committee on Rules and Administration of the Senate and the Committee on House Oversight of the House of Representatives. All regulations approved under this subsection shall have the force and effect of law. D. Effect on appointment authority. Nothing in this section shall be construed to affect the appointing authority of any officer of the Senate or the House of Representatives. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1924, repealed. Pub L. 111 to 145, Paragraph 5A, 2. A. March 4, 2010, 124 Stat 53. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1925, repealed. Pub L. 111 to 145, Paragraph 5A, 2. B. March 4, 2010, 124 Stat 53. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1926, Educational Assistance Program for Employees. A. Establishment. In order to recruit or retain qualified personnel, the Chief of the Capitol Police may establish an educational assistance program for employees of the Capitol Police under which the Capitol Police may agree. 1. To repay, by direct payments on behalf of the participating employee, all or any portion of a student loan previously taken out by the employee. 2. To make direct payments to an educational institution on behalf of a participating employee or to reimburse a participating employee for all or any portion of any tuition or related educational expenses paid by the employee. B. Special rules for student loan repayments. 1. Application of regulations under Executive Branch Program. In carrying out subsection A.1, the Chief of the Capitol Police may, by regulation, make applicable such provisions of Section 5379 of Title V as the Chief determines necessary to provide for such program. 2. Restrictions on prior reimbursements. The Capitol Police may not reimburse any individual under subsection A.1 for any repayments made by the individual prior to entering into an agreement with the Capitol Police to participate in the program under this section. 3. Use of recovered amounts. Any amount repaid by, or recovered from, an individual under subsection A.1 and its implementing regulations shall be credited to the appropriation account available for salaries or general expenses of the Capitol Police at the time of repayment or recovery. Such credited amount may be used for any authorized purpose of the account and shall remain available until expended. C. Limit on amount of payments. The total amount paid by the Capitol Police with respect to any individual under the program under this section may not exceed $80,000. D. No review of determinations. Any determination made under the program under this section shall not be reviewable or appealable in any manner. E. Effective date. This section shall apply with respect to fiscal year 2003 and each succeeding fiscal year. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1927, Bonuses, Retention Allowances, and Additional Compensation. A. Recruitment and Relocation Bonuses. 1. Authorization of payment. The Capitol Police Board, hereafter in this section referred to as the Board, may authorize the Chief of the United States Capitol Police, hereafter in this section referred to as the Chief, to pay a bonus to an individual who is newly appointed to a position as an officer or employee of the Capitol Police, and to pay an additional bonus to an individual who must relocate to accept a position as an officer or employee of the Capitol Police, if the Chief, in the Chief's sole discretion, determines that such a bonus will assist the Capitol Police in recruitment efforts. 2. Amount of payment. The amount of a bonus under this subsection shall be determined by regulations of the Board, but the amount of any bonus paid to an individual under this subsection may not exceed 25% of the annual rate of basic pay of the position to which the individual is being appointed. 3. Minimum period of service required. Payment of a bonus under this subsection shall be contingent upon the individual entering into an agreement with the Capitol Police to complete a period of employment with the Capitol Police, with the required period determined pursuant to regulations of the Board. If the individual voluntarily fails to complete such period of service or is separated from the service before completion of such period of service for cause on charges of misconduct or delinquency, the individual shall repay the bonus on a pro rata basis. 4. Bonus not considered part of basic pay. A bonus under this subsection shall be paid as a lump sum and may not be considered to be part of the basic pay of the officer or employee. 5. Payment permitted prior to commencement of duty. Under regulations of the Board, a bonus under this subsection may be paid to a newly hired officer or employee before the officer or employee enters on duty. 6. Determination not appealable or reviewable. Any determination of the Chief under this subsection shall not be appealable or reviewable in any manner. B. Retention allowances. 1. Authorization of payment. The Board may authorize the Chief to pay an allowance to an officer or employee of the United States Capitol Police if the Chief, in the Chief's sole discretion, determines that such a bonus will assist the Capitol Police in retention efforts. 2. Amount of payment. A retention allowance, which shall be stated as a percentage of the rate of basic pay of the officer or employee, may not exceed 25% of such rate of basic pay. 3. Payment not considered part of basic pay. A retention allowance may not be considered to be part of the basic pay of an officer or employee, and any determination of the Chief under this subsection, or the reduction or elimination of a retention allowance, shall not be appealable or reviewable in any manner. The preceding sentence shall not be construed to extinguish or lessen any right or remedy under any of the laws made applicable to the Capitol Police pursuant to Section 1302 of this title. 4. Time and manner of payment. A retention allowance under this subsection shall be paid at the same time, and in the same manner as the officer's or employee's basic pay is paid. See lump sum incentive and merit bonus payments. 1. In general, the Board may pay an incentive or merit bonus to an officer or employee of the United States Capitol Police who meets such criteria for receiving the bonus as the Board may establish. 2. Bonus not considered part of basic pay. A bonus under this subsection shall be paid as a lump sum, and may not be considered to be part of the basic pay of the officer or employee. D. Service step increases for meritorious service for officers. Upon the approval of the Chief. 1. An officer of the United States Capitol Police in a service step who has demonstrated meritorious service, in accordance with criteria established by the Chief or the Chief's designee, may be advanced in compensation to the next higher service step, effective with the first pay period which begins after the date of the Chief's approval, and 2. An officer of the United States Capitol Police in a service step who has demonstrated extraordinary performance, in accordance with criteria established by the chief or the chief's designee, may be advanced in compensation to the second and next higher service step, effective with the first pay period which begins after the date of the chief's approval. E. Regulations. 1. In general, the payment of bonuses, allowances, step increases, compensation, and other payments pursuant to this section shall be carried out in accordance with regulations prescribed by the board. 2. Repealed. Pub L. 108-7, DIVH, Title I, Paragraph 1004, 2, February 20th, 2003, 117 Stat 358. F. Effective date. This section shall apply with respect to fiscal year 2002 and each succeeding fiscal year. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1928, Repealed. Pub L. 111-145, Paragraph 2A, 4, B, 1. March 4th, 2010, 124 Stat 50. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1929, Repealed. Pub L. 111-145, Paragraph 2A, 4, B, 2, March 4th, 2010, 124 Stat 50. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1930. Applicable pay rate upon appointment. A. In general, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the rate of basic pay payable to an individual upon appointment to a position with the Capitol Police shall be at a rate within the minimum and maximum pay rates applicable to the position. B. Effective date. This section shall apply to fiscal year 2003 and each fiscal year thereafter. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1931. Additional compensation for employees with specialty assignments and proficiencies. A. Establishment of positions. The Chief of the Capitol Police may establish and determine, from time to time, positions and salary classes of employees of the Capitol Police to be designated as employees with specialty assignments or proficiencies, based on the experience, education, training, or other appropriate factors required to carry out the duties of such employees. B. Additional compensation. In addition to the regularly scheduled rate of basic pay, each employee holding a position designated under this section shall receive an amount determined by the Chief, except that 1. Such amount may not exceed 25% of the employee's annual rate of basic pay, and 2. Such amount may not be paid in a calendar year to the extent that, when added to the total basic pay paid or payable to such employee for service performed in the year, such amount would cause the total to exceed the annual rate of basic pay payable for Level 2 of the executive schedule, as of the end of such year. C. Manner of payment. The additional compensation authorized by this subsection shall be paid to an employee in a manner determined by the Chief or his designee except when the employee ceases to be assigned to the specialty assignment or ceases to maintain the required proficiency. The loss of such additional compensation shall not constitute an adverse action for any purpose. D. Determination not appealable or reviewable. Any determination under Section 1A shall not be appealable or reviewable in any manner. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1932. Application of premium pay limits on annualized basis. A. In general, any limits on the amount of premium pay which may be earned by officers and members of the Capitol Police during emergencies, as determined by the Capitol Police Board, shall be applied by the Chief of the Capitol Police on an annual basis and not on a pay period basis. Any determination under this subsection shall not be reviewable or appealable in any manner. B. Effective date. Subsection A shall apply with respect to hours of duty occurring on or after September 11, 2001. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1933. Clarification of authorities regarding certain personnel benefits. A. No lump sum payment permitted for unused compensatory time. 1. In general, no officer or employee of the United States Capitol Police whose service with the United States Capitol Police is terminated may receive any lump sum payment with respect to accrued compensatory time off, except to the extent permitted under Section 1313, C. 4 of this title. 2. Omitted. B. Overtime compensation for officers and employees exempt from Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. 1. Criteria under which compensation permitted. The Chief of the Capitol Police may provide for the compensation of overtime work of exempt individuals which is performed on or after March 4, 2010, in the form of additional pay or compensatory time off, only if A. The overtime work is carried out in connection with special circumstances, as determined by the Chief. B. The Chief has established a monetary value for the overtime work performed by such individual, and C. The sum of the total amount of the compensation paid to the individual for the overtime work, as determined on the basis of the monetary value established under subparagraph B, and the total regular compensation paid to the individual with respect to the pay period involved may not exceed an amount equal to the cap on the aggregate amount of annual compensation that may be paid to the individual under applicable law during the year in which the pay period occurs, as allocated on a per pay period basis consistent with premium pay regulations of the Capitol Police Board. 2. Exempt individuals defined. In this subsection, an exempt individual is an officer or employee of the United States Capitol Police. A. Who is classified under regulations issued pursuant to Section 1313 of this title as exempt from the application of the rights and protections established by subsections A. 1 and D of Section 206, Section 207, and Section 212 C of Title 29, or B. Whose annual rate of pay is not established specifically under any law. 3. Conforming amendment. A. Omitted. B. Effective date. The amendment made by subparagraph A shall take effect as if included in the enactment of the Legislative Branch Appropriations Act, 2003, except that the amendment shall not apply with respect to any overtime work performed prior to March 4, 2010. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1934, Waiver by Chief of Capitol Police of claims arising out of erroneous payments to officers and employees. A. Waiver of claim. Subject to the joint approval of the Chief Administrative Officer of the House of Representatives and the Secretary of the Senate, the Chief of the United States Capitol Police may waive in whole or in part a claim of the United States against a person arising out of an erroneous payment of any pay or allowances, other than travel and transportation expenses and allowances, to an officer, member, or employee of the United States Capitol Police, if the collection of the claim would be against equity and good conscience, and not in the best interest of the United States. B. Investigation of application. Report. The Chief shall investigate each application for the waiver of a claim under subsection A, and shall submit a written report of the investigation, including a description of the facts and circumstances of the claim, to the Chief Administrative Officer of the House of Representatives and the Secretary of the Senate, except that if the aggregate amount of the claim involved exceeds $1,500. The Comptroller General may also investigate the application and submit a written report of the investigation, including a description of the facts and circumstances of the claim, to the Chief Administrative Officer of the House of Representatives and the Secretary of the Senate. C. Prohibition of waiver under certain circumstances. The Chief may not exercise the authority to waive a claim under subsection A if 1. In the Chief's opinion, there exists in connection with the claim an indication of fraud, misrepresentation, fault, or lack of good faith on the part of the officer, member, or employee involved or of any other person having an interest in obtaining a waiver of the claim, or 2. The Chief receives the application for the waiver after the expiration of the 3-year period that begins on the date on which the erroneous payment of pay or allowances was discovered. D. Credit for waiver. In the audit and settlement of accounts of any accountable officer or official, full credit shall be given for any amounts with respect to which collection by the United States is waived under subsection A. E. Effective waiver. An erroneous payment, the collection of which is waived under subsection A, is deemed a valid payment for all purposes. F. Construction with other laws. This section does not affect any authority under any other law to litigate, settle, compromise, or waive any claim of the United States. G. Rules and regulations. Subject to the approval of the Chief Administrative Officer of the House of Representatives and the Secretary of the Senate, the Chief shall promulgate rules and regulations to carry out this section. H. Effective date. This section shall apply with respect to payments of pay and allowances made at any time after the Chief became the disbursing officer for the United States Capitol Police pursuant to Section 1907A of this title.